3rd of July 2023. This is another one of that rip the band-aid off Skidmarks, and this one I want to talk about something about BRICS. We have to talk about BRICS. BRICS is going to be the future, and in years to come that is going to be a very important facet of our lives. BRICS is the instrument that Putin and Xi has selected to take on the global West, the globalists, the New World Order, all of that. They're going to take them on through BRICS. And I can understand it. Both of them are excellent strategists. And they saw what the West did to Libya and to Iraq, because the leadership decided they want to break away from the dollar hegemony. And those two men are not stupid. And I want to remind you of the visit that Xi had to Moscow and to Putin. And the last day of their visit, Putin and Xi Jinping spent 5 hours alone in Putin's study. Nobody really know what the hell was discussed there. But they definitely discussed serious stuff. And when Putin walked out to Xi's car with him to say goodbye, they embraced each other, and unaware of the fact that there was a hot mic near them, Xi Jinping said to Putin words to this effect. I'm paraphrasing. And he said, "Be strong and be brave, my friend, and be safe. What we are going to do hasn't been done in 100 years. Now, we can discuss a lot around that and speculate about the meaning and so forth, but the fact of the matter is, that words should give us an indication that those men were in serious conversation in Putin's study. And we can see already the way that the BRICS countries is lining up their trade relationships to bypass the dollar. And they're doing it quite effectively. Nowhere have I seen any reliable information of how much the dollar trade has declined in the past 6 months. I haven't seen. There's a lot of speculation around it, but the reality is that between China, India, Russia and Iran, basically no trading happens in dollars, nothing happens in euros, nothing happens in pounds. That's it. They are trading in local currencies. And that must influence the financial systems of the West. Another thing is with Saudi having applied to be a member of BRICS and already having decided that they're no longer going to sell their oil only in dollars, they're selling in local currencies as well. That is hurting the dollar. And never forget, the Americans are sitting in their treasury on a $32 trillion overdraft. And I saw some numbers of, if I start adding in the debt of the different states, of the different cities, of the different municipalities, it is frightening. So that whole America is sitting on a heap of debt, nothing else. America is financially so vulnerable that it is actually scary. If I were American, I wouldn't go to bed. I wouldn't know what to do, because that dollar can evaporate overnight with everything tied to it. So people's pensions is going to be gone, their savings will be gone, all things like that. Things that happened to the Greeks things that happen to the Cypriots, their money evaporating. But let's come back to the BRICS thing. I see on various groups and on Twitter and so, a lot of young blacks in South Africa with lots of stories about BRICS. And most of them are missing something very important. The BRICS conglomeration is about opportunities. It is not about charity. If you want to participate in the BRICS game, you have to bring something to the table. You're not going to walk in there and grab. None of these countries are going to allow that. For the simple reason, they all are struggling to get out from under the after effects of being either colonized or sanctioned and all that shit. Now, if you look at Russia and you look at China, between the two of them, they are turning out thousands of engineers from their universities every year. Far more than the combined West. Far more. Not a little bit more, far more. Because the combined West has got so woke, and the people are studying shit at university, stuff that I call tree climbing degrees, things that has got zero commercial value, zero industrial application. Those are the degrees that the wokes are studying. And unfortunately, we see the same thing here in South Africa. Ask yourself, how many black engineers qualify per year? Ask yourself that. How many black doctors qualify per year? How many black scientists qualify per year? But if you go and you look at the universities, there's 10,000 of them studying tree climbing degrees, human resources, human sciences, cock like that. So, what else is the problem here? This ANC destroyed the education system. They stopped and blocked the technical colleges, the technical schools, all of those things. All institutions that were equipping people with skills that could be productive in an economy. Furthermore, they went and they reduced the pass rates down to 30%. And one academic one day said, you must just understand, if you pass on a 30%, there is 70% of that subject that you don't know anything about. So think about that. So not only is the output from the universities weak, the quality of the qualifications is weak. You go to China and you see the children are studying mathematics and science from their first grade. Think about that. So how are you going to compete in the BRICS world? For you to compete there, you have to produce something that you want to trade with. There are some black guys that are talking about the BRICS Bank, and they are trying to find out how to get funding from that bank. Funding for what? BRICS was established for opportunities for the participating countries, not for charity. So you must look around yourself if you are a South African and think, what can you contribute to the BRICS table? Not what do you want to get from the BRICS table. You are dealing with countries that had to drag themselves out of the gutters to be where they are today. Iran. Look at Iran. One of the most sanctioned countries in the world. But go to Iran and see how many engineers their universities are producing per year. Go and look. Go and investigate that. Go and look at the industrial base of Iran. They are building cars, trucks, military equipment, everything, basically everything in their own country. Go to India. Look at how many engineers India produce. How many scientists India produce. And then come back to South Africa and look at what are we producing at our universities. So, don't get starry-eyed about BRICS and think it is going to be a thing that's going to give. You will have to contribute. And then I want to talk to our farmers. You are producing, and I'm going to use apples just as an example. It can be anything. It is time that you yourself, you the producer, you yourself, go and search for opportunities in BRICS. Because basically all these controlling bodies and associations, and I call them gangs, Afrikaans bendes, all of them are tarnished with tentacles of the globalists inside of them. And don't forget for 1 minute, those globalists, that WEF, they are the enemies of BRICS. They have been identified by Xi Jinping and Putin. What is going on currently on the world stage? Putin is fighting a war against the West. And just keep in mind, 2 weeks ago I did a skidmark on it. Xi Jinping publicly stated that China is not providing Russia with any military aid at this time. But the West must take note. China will not sit and idly watch the West crush Russia. If it looks like that's going to happen, China will assist Russia. Keep that in mind. So, let's get back to this thing. So, on the BRICS table currently in the global environment, Russia is fighting a war and is beating the shit out of the West. They will never acknowledge it, but just look at the signs. They're out of ammunition, they're out of equipment, and the worst part of all, they don't have the manufacturing ability anymore to replace the shit that has been burned in the Ukraine. So, Russia is fighting the war there, and in the meantime, China is moving on the diplomatic fields. Look what the Chinese has done in the Middle East. That peace between Iran and Saudi is major. It is a major thing. Then you look at Lavrov. He's operating up and down in Africa, and he's now going to South America, and he's always on the move in Asia and so. All the time, sorting out relationships, diplomatic relationships that automatically overflows into trade relations. What are the Americans doing? Fighting a fucking war in the Ukraine, and you talk to any one of their prominent guys, all they can talk about is giving Ukraine more money, giving Ukraine more weapons, and they must win Russia. That's all it's on their minds. In the meanwhile, BRICS is really building. And BRICS is a massive threat to the West. So, the clash between BRICS and the West is currently diplomatically and beginning commercially. But don't be surprised if that change to include militarily. Don't be surprised. I will not be surprised. So let's come back to South Africa. Our farmers, you better go and find opportunities for yourself in BRICS. Get into your bakkie and drive up to the Russian embassy and go and ask them to help you. Take your bakkie and drive to the Chinese embassy and go and ask them to help you. Because most of the organizations that are supposed to help you are up to their necks into the fucking asses of the West. And they are swinging around threats about AGOA and all that cock. The BRICS market is much bigger than the West. The BRICS consumers is hungry for your products, and the BRICS consumers will in the end be 80% of the population of the earth. Think about that. But your consumers in the West is fast getting poorer by the day. Pretty soon they won't be able to afford your products anymore. And where are you then? Where? So, get into your bakkie, go and see the Russian ambassador. From him, maybe ask him to arrange something for you and go see the Chinese ambassador. Then you can go and see the Indian ambassador. Then you can go and find the Iranian representative. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Go find markets in BRICS. And you young blacks with your starry eyes about BRICS, think about what you are going to bring to that table. Think. You need to have something in your hands when you go to that table. You are not going to come right if you're going to stand there and hold your hand out. That is my message for you tonight. Sit down calmly and think. What can you bring to the BRICS table? Because if you have got nothing to bring to that table, you are going to walk back from that table empty-handed. Because the people at that table are all busy pulling their countries out from the gutters. And here in South Africa, what is the popular thing going on social media and so? Racism. Fuck up the whites. Destroy the white businesses. And you see idiots talking about white monopoly capital. White monopoly capital is a construct that Bell Pottinger created to create racial conflict. You must get off that. And remember this. I listened to a black guy on Pennell's show, and he was ranting about how cuck whites are. And I sat and I listened to the man. And I thought to myself, what will Putin say if he hears that speech? What will Putin say? Think about that. I am not so sure that he's going to smile about it. Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.